Welcome in. It's Wednesday. It is a live chat. It is the PGA Championship week. It is maybe the most anticipated major championship of our lifetimes. Might be a little bit of an exaggeration, but the anticipation is unbelievable with the way that these guys are playing coming into this event. Welcome. This time is yours. I'm going to go through your questions, your concerns, your comments over the course of the next hour. I'm going to use data and information, and we're just going to go through as much as we can. I do have a pretty hard out in an hour. I'm in Charlotte. I'm right by the golf course. I have to get to the golf course, and I've got to get on a shuttle. And they do not wait for me. So I will do my best to make this as jam-packed of an hour as possible, and we'll see what happens. All right, let's not waste any more time here. There's always a place. If you're new, I always start with a couple of things. That way we can just get them out of the way. We can talk about them once at the beginning of the show, and we don't have to talk about them 19 times throughout the course of this episode. Here is the weather forecast. It has been incredibly wet here. Monday was a total wash. Tuesday was a lot of a wash, right? They shut the course down. It was the storm was rocking the media center. It was coming down like cats and dogs out there. These guys are behind on their preparation. There were a lot of guys who were out on the golf course, dozens and dozens of guys that were out there till late yesterday, later than normal on a Tuesday to major championship because they are behind. They have not played these holes this week. It is raining right now. If this forecast, and it looks like we're kind of at the tail end of it, the sun's trying to peek out a little bit. If the forecast is correct, this is probably the last of the rain that we see this week. It's summer in Charlotte. It can pop up at any point, but this is really the last thing that the forecast had called for the week. You see that here winding down in the next couple, maybe next hour or two, and then very little rain in the forecast. It is going to be hot. It is going to be humid. It's going to be mid to upper 80s. It's going to feel like 95 degrees. It is going to be very, very hot. On Thursday and Friday, you see the wind really only gets up to about 10 miles an hour. Later on Thursday afternoon, 5 to 10 in the afternoon, not something crazy that I would consider a wave advantage, but it's a very, very wet golf course right now. I was out there. I walked in a lot yesterday. It is incredibly wet. The greens that does not immediately mean the greens are receptive. I want to be very clear about that. It is not a default just because the golf course is saturated that the greens are super soft and receptive. These are brand new greens, 2 years old. It takes years for that bounce to go away, and I saw a lot of bounce yesterday, even with the water that was out there. That is only going to continue for the week. Sure, I saw guys on what's that par 3 on the front. I'm still trying to get my routing, like 7 or whatever. Yeah, balls were making craters of divots there, but that's a full shot downhill from an 8-iron or something like that, right? So we saw that, but I also saw a lot of balls that were not really checking. They were running out. The greens are bouncy. Okay, so let's make that very clear. And the golf course is really wet. The rough is nasty and thick and not long but thick, and it could be a problem. The other thing I like to do at the start is to show you what the one and done selection rates are. Notice I said selection rates. These are not ownership projections. This is not anything that I'm coming up with. This is literally the picks that have been put in on the entire 3 million entries on officefootballpool.com. They can obviously vary based on your contest and all that stuff, but Bryson DeChambeau is being selected in nearly half of one and dones, 45% of the time. Rory McIlroy and Scottie Scheffler at 17 and 14. For those two guys, that means that about half of the users who have Rory or Scottie available are using him this week. So Scottie and Rory are roughly only 30% available across the industry, 35% because they've already been used to this point. So half of the guys half the users that still have them are using them this week. Justin Thomas is the only other golfer over 10% at the moment. Everybody else is in single digits with Xander Schauffele, Jon Rahm, and Brooks Koepka rounding out the top 7 there. A handful of live golfers in the top 10. We see Patrick Reed, Joaquin Niemann, Brooks Koepka, Jon Rahm, and Bryson DeChambeau, obviously, because this is really the only times that you're going to be able to use them. We could talk through strategy on that in just a second. Additionally, you might have seen the ad there on Office Football Pool, which Splash owns Office Football Pool, but Splash Sports, remember that all expense paid trip to play a round of golf with John Daly and myself that we gave away after the Masters, we've got one more spot in that foursome, right? So we're giving away the other spot here. So similar rules apply. Any PGA entry that you put in on Splash from now through the US Open is an entry into this. It doesn't matter if you win a contest, finish 10th, finish 10,000th. If you just enter the contest, it is an entry into the draw, and we'll draw it live on the Rick Run Good YouTube channel, I presume, at some point after the US Open, and we'll all play together. It's going to be absolutely nuts. The contest for this week, the flagship contest on Splash for this week, is our contest. It's $75,000 guaranteed. It has a lower buy-in than we saw at the Masters. We took a little bit of the feedback there. So it's only $25 per entry, and you pick 8 golfers. Your top 7 are the scores that count, and it's fully guaranteed. First place is 25 grand. Second place is 10 grand. Third place is 5 grand, so on and so forth. So we took a lot of your feedback there and rocked it for this week's contest, and there'll be great contests throughout. So link for that and everything that you need is in the description. I'm about to get to your question here, JS, and Armina's telling me my mic is crackling, so I'm just going to throw my phone and hope that solves it. I'm going to get to your question here, JS, in just 1 second, but one more thing that I need to note here, and because golf's second major championship of the year is here, DraftKings is giving you the perfect way to get in on the action. Right now, DraftKings is giving all customers a can't-miss offer. Enter into the $25 PGA Millionaire Contest, draft a lineup, and if one player makes a single birdie during the tournament, you're going to earn an entry into an exclusive $50,000 fantasy contest. It's truly that simple. You build a lineup. If one golfer sinks one birdie, you're in for another shot at cash prizes. All it takes is one birdie to unlock a shot to play free for $50,000. Just download the DraftKings Daily Fantasy app now, enter into the $25 PGA Millionaire Contest, and draft your lineup. Again, one golfer sinks a birdie, you'll score an entry into a $50,000 fantasy golf contest. Don't miss your shot, only on DraftKings. Okay, we have got work to do, and we're going to start at the top of the board here. JS says, Rick, long-time listener, first-time caller. Thank you. Can we do a deep dive on Davis Riley and Cam Davis? Oh, we want to get in on the Davises. All right, let's do it here. I am going to show you my website probably the rest of the way here. This is rickrungood.com. It's a giant golf modeling and visuals and all that fun stuff. So much golf data coming out my eyeballs here. Here's Davis Riley. He has played better golf as of late, but that's a really low bar. He was slumping the vast majority of 2024 and into the start of 2025. Played well at Puerto Rico, played well at Valspar, has kind of tailed off a little bit since then. I want to look at his major championship record. Not particularly great. That's not super exciting to me. You know, it really only had that like 3 or maybe 4 tournament stretch in which he was playing a lot better. That's not super exciting. And then, I think I have him in here as Cam Davis. Cam has also been in a struggle. So I wonder if JS is looking for a little bit of a flyer here. Yeah, the problem here with Cam is the tee to green play. He's just hemorrhaging strokes from tee to green every single time he tees it up. The putter is not cooperating either. His best finish at this year or recently was at Harbor Town, and he had probably the best short game week of his entire career that week. So it's just a really tough stat profile for Cam. I hope he gets this figured out. Incredibly talented, but that's a tough profile to back into. Al says, hey, Rick, could you run me an alternative model? So he's talking about the custom model at rickrungood.com where you can put in 100 weights and get your rankings. So it says, he doesn't say how many rounds we're going to do. I'm going to do last 36 rounds. He wants 30 on driving accuracy. He wants 30 on strokes gained approach from 150 yards and out. Okay, so I'm just going to, I'll do this then. I'll spread those out for you. And then he wants 20 on scrambling and 20 on putting. I think he just says straight up strokes gained putting here. Okay, so we're going to do this. And it says, and there's your winner. Cheers. Well, if you're going for Al and Al's model, your winner is Scotty Scheffler. He is the number 1 golfer by a wide margin. Daniel Berger is number 2. Lee Hodges is number 3. John Rahm is 4. Christian Bezuidenhout is number 5. That is Al's model for this week. Mason says, in a pool with tiers and struggling with tier 1, is Rory no-brainer, or do I deviate with JT, Bryson, Xander, or Scotty? every single one of those guys you named, Mason, is very, very good. You cannot go wrong. We are splitting hairs. If you want to be a little bit different, you can be different in other places. You just have to pick the guy that you think is going to win. You can pick Rory, right? Like Rory is. I've showed this before, and I'll show it again here. The combination of Rory McIlroy, I'm not even going to discuss anything mental about being freed up after winning the Grand Slam. I'm not even going to mention any of that. Okay. I'm only going to look at this from a data perspective. And if you look at every golfer at every single golf course combination, the best is Rory McIlroy at Quail Hollow. I think it's 2.86 strokes gained per round. My screen recording and the hotel Wi-Fi is slowing me down here, but it's 2.86 strokes gained per round. So we're talking about, John Rahm at Torrey Pines. We're talking about Adam Hadwin at the Stadium course. Okay, so if you, depending on how far you go back, it's either Rahm or Rory for this honor. If you go back to 2014, Rory at Quail is better. You go back to 2013, it's Rahm 1, Rory 2. Rahm is at the South course at Torrey Pines. So again, elite course history. The other thing, and I mentioned this in my newsletter for this week, which is 100% free. You can get it, link in the description. There is such a baseline at Quail Hollow if you can drive the ball like Rory McIlroy does. If you're like a top 5% driver at Quail, it's hard to be bad here. Walked a lot of the holes yesterday, and he and Bryson and like those other guys that are really long are going to cut some of these off and get 40 yards on their peers. And you see that bared out in the statistics as well. Rory McIlroy, who in regular PGA Tour events primarily plays a high draw. That's kind of like his more stock shot. At Quail Hollow, I went through all the radar data, all the shot-by-shot data, actually hits more fades. And that's what a handful of these holes call for. And it's why he's been so great here. So the fact that he is able to work it in both directions at an elite high level is why I think Rory McIlroy is probably going to win this golf tournament. If you want to go with Scotty, if you want to go with Bryson, if you want to go with JT, if you want to go with Xander, they're all great. But that's the case there. And I did not even mention one single thing about his state of his mentals. Mason says, is there any intrigue with Victor Hovland? A lot of intrigue. I don't know how positive that intrigue is. The putter, especially over the first 2 rounds last week, was historically bad for Victor. It was the second worst 36-hole putting stretch of his career. He did pick it up a little bit on the weekend, but then, of course, he kind of lost the tee to green play. I still see a handful of too many wipey shots for Victor. I know that this is a golf course in which you are going to miss a lot of greens. And when you start getting into some of these difficult short game scenarios, that is probably not a good spot for Victor to be. So I think I'm probably a little bit bearish on Victor for this week. Hey Rick, what's your projection on the winning score? A 10 or 11 under, I think might be fair. Listen, it's going to play long, but length is not really a problem. It's wet, but the greens are firm or can be firm and bouncy. I think it'll stand up pretty well. 10 or 11 under par, I think is the play here. Kyle actually I saw one shot from Seamus Power yesterday. That's the question that Kyle is asking. I saw one shot from Seamus Power yesterday. He stuffed it on 14 to like 1 foot. I'm sure he's not going to do that every day, but it hasn't been good for Seamus. He had a T8 back at the Valspar, a lot of missed cuts this year. It actually doesn't look like a half bad stat profile. A lot of green here, but what you're seeing is something different being wrong every week, which is usually a pretty bad sign. 1 week it's the putter, 1 week it's the driver, next week it's the around the green player. That's like a game of whack-a-mole, and it's really hard to keep up in that scenario. Hey, Rick, one and done. Would you rather play Bryson here and Xander at Oakmont or Xander here and Bryson at Oakmont? I would probably play Bryson here and Xander at Oakmont. Hey, Rick, putting together some DFS lineups. Curious to hear your thoughts on a couple of low-price guys. We already talked about Seamus Power. Eugenio Chikara and Kurt Kitayama. Definitely in on Chikara. Pretty bullish on Kitayama. So here's Eugenio Chikara. Here's the ad for rickrungood.com, right? So not only do I have the strokes gained for the PGA Tour, that includes Korn Ferry, that includes Senior Tour, but I also get them from the DP World Tour. I also get them from Live Golf. I have the Asian Tour results. So guys that play globally, like Chikara, if you're looking at a database or something where you only have PGA Tour data, you don't have a start from Chikara from last year's U.S. Open. That's unacceptable. He has been crushing it around the globe since he got off of LIV. He won the Indian Open just at the end of March. He has a bunch of top 10 finishes this year. Actually, he's got his worst finish is a T20 in Kenya. He's been awesome. Remember, he's an incredibly young talent. He was highly regarded as an amateur player. He's the real deal, and now he's playing a little bit more free with some global status here. I'll be at Quail on Thursday, first time at a PGA event. Any spectator tips? Who's your favorite player to watch live? Well, Jay, again, I didn't get through as much of Quail as I would have liked, and this is my first time here. There is a spot, however, I believe it is on the green of 14, whatever that short par 4 is on the back. I think it's 14. So if you stand by the green on 14, you will see guys on a short par 4, which is really cool and fun. And we watched guys come through there, and it is cool and fun. You will be able to see them tee off on 15. You will be able to see them play across the pond 17, which is the par 3 in the Green Mile. And then you'll basically be able to see them go up 18. So you can see a lot in a small area there. And it's a beautiful area. There's going to be a lot going on there, and there's a couple of good holes. So I think that's the place to be. And then, I mean, you're not going to be able to get close, I imagine. But if you want to see me tomorrow, Jay, or if anybody else, 8:24 a.m. I will be with the super group of Rory. Why can't I remember? Rory, Scotty, and Xander. I will be walking with them. If you see me, say hello. But for those 4 or 5 hours, you know exactly where to find me. Any interest in under the radar guys like Matsuyama or Hovland? We already talked about Hovland. I will do the deep dive on Hideki, who I tend to like Hideki probably more than others. The upside is really appealing, right? What we saw him do on Saturday at Philly Cricket is what he is capable of. He's also capable of struggling like he did on Sunday and Friday. But Hideki is, I think, longer than you would think. Obviously, he's one of the better approach players in the world. His around the green play is phenomenal. It's just a matter of how many putts is he going to make. His record at major championships is usually very good. In fact, the PGA is probably his worst, and he has not missed a cut here, he has not missed a cut at a major championship ever. His T5, last time he was at Quail Hollow, he finished T5, gained throughout the bag. I know that was 8 years ago at this point, but yes, I'm quite excited to get Hideki action. The Minwoo Lee deep dive, Lamb, is really the same Minwoo Lee deep dive that we always have. He matches it off the tee. He has regressed with the irons again, back to what we saw last year, and the rest, and the putter is very, very volatile. It's difficult to be excited about this. I loved the stretch where he was putting up gains of 3 and 4 on approach, and that's how he got the victory, right? That's how he won in Houston, and since then it has regressed back. That's a tough sign. Siwoo, Siwoo's big skill set is that he hits a lot of fairways, which the longer we go this week, the more important I think that's going to be. Not only because you're going to not, God, it's still raining. You're not going to have to play out of the thick rough, but you are also going to be able to do a little bit better in terms of spin control, maybe come in from a little bit higher apex. I think that descent angle is going to be critical this week. That's why guys who hit it high, like a Rory McIlroy, like a Bryson DeChambeau, Scotty can hit it high. Jake Knapp, who hits it a mile in the air. Jason Day historically hits it quite high. Those guys are, I think, going to be in a better position this week because, again, the greens they're definitely more receptive than they want them to be, but they're not compatible with how much water has been put on the golf course, and it's not compatible with what the fairways and greens are. Will says, I have a DFS decision. Is it Scotty, JT, and Burmeister, or Rory, Xander, and Knapp? I would go, they're very, very close. I think Dean is a lot better than Knapp. The rest are fairly interchangeable. So I guess I'm going Scotty, JT, and Dean. Double money for majors for Chris in his one and done pool. He is in the top. Okay, he's 29th out of 160. Thinking of Bryson versus Rory or Xander. Just don't love the majority taking Bryson. Yeah, but if you pick, oh no, it's double money. You're not picking 2. Interesting. Yeah, you're right on the line, aren't you? You're like in the top 20%. Bryson's going to be picked like 50% of the time. Yeah, that's like the toughest spot to be in, I think, Chris. If I were you, I would probably play Rory, but just because I'm going to get him at 17%, all the stats, all that stuff, I get it. But the problem is you almost then have to use Bryson at the U.S. Open, which I guess is fine. But yeah, and that'll be fine because if 50% use him here, yeah. I'm in. I listen. James says, "What your thoughts on Nicholas Norgard?" I love this guy. I saw him play yesterday. It's just as good in person. That drivable par 4. I think he hit a couple of tee balls down there. One was in the greenside bunker. One was just short of the greenside bunker. He's an animal, and he's going to be able to move the ball off the tees, coming off one of his better finishes. This is a good golf course for him. Haven't kept up with Liv much this season. How has Patrick Reed looked? All right, watch this. How about we just do this? We're going to go to the Holy Grail. We're going to go to strokes gained by tournament. We're going to go 2025. We are just going to do rounds played on Liv. So I will just compare those guys for you so we can get a good look at this. So they have played 7 events. Not everybody's played 7. Phil Mickelson's only played 6. John Catlin's an alternate, so he's only played 2. But Bryson DeChambeau, John Rahm, and Joaquin Niemann have been by far the best players on Liv. They're picking up 2 strokes per round. Bryson, I again wrote this in my email newsletter. It's a little bit different, but Liv still has strokes gained, and it is a weaker competition. But Bryson DeChambeau is picking up nearly 2 strokes per round off the tee. It is, as of right now, the greatest driving season we have ever seen. He still needs to complete the season, and there will be caveats because it's coming from Liv Golf, but this is the best driving season we've ever seen statistically. Patrick Reed is right here. Patrick Reed's picking up about a half a stroke per round. He's right between Brooks Koepka and Phil Mickelson. His play, however, has gotten progressively better. He started off the year miserable, the end of or to start in Riyadh, and then didn't play well in Adelaide, and then he did play well at Liv Golf Korea. So he is trending in the right direction there. I'm sending a note to Armina real quick. Okay. Hey, Rick, I'm looking at Carl Billups as leveraging my DFS lineups. Do you think he can top 20? I don't know about that, but let's take a look. Carl Billups was a winner recently, and then this is the vintage first-time winner slump here, where he wins in Puerto Rico, starts missing cuts, the play goes completely downhill. No, I do not like that. Hey, Rick, whose skill set do you like more this week, Niemann or Rahm? So funny, we just talked about those. Those Liv guys. Niemann is great, but he hits the ball so low. I'm not sure this is a great spot for him. Rahm's skill set is a lot better for this golf course. If we were playing Riviera, if we were playing, I don't know, a lot of other places, but I really do think the Apex stuff is going to be critical. And then Rahm has been, after that weird stretch at Augusta National last year, at the PGA last year, his major championship stuff has been better. He's been playing great golf. I think it is Rahm for me. Tom says, hey, Rick, congrats on the ESPN gig. Thank you. I did ESPN PGA Tour Live, ESPN Bet last week in Ponte Vedra, which was pretty cool. He said, would love to see a model that is as follows. So here we go. This is going to be Thomas's model. And we are going to do, sorry, guys, I'm trying to do this on my laptop here. 30 on distance, 10 on good drive percentage, 10 on 100. Okay, so approach, 10 on 175 to 200, 10 on 200, 10 on 1, 2, 3 of them around the green, strokes gained around the green, and 10 on Quail. Did I miss something? 20 on around the green. Sorry, mates. Did you guys see Rory's going to Australia for the Australian Open the next 2 years? Yeah, I'm gonna need to be there for that. I'm gonna need to expense that. So if anybody wants to send me there, that's definitely a business trip, isn't it? Watching Rory McIlroy play. at the Australian Open? I think so. All right, here we go. That took me way too long. But this is Thomas's model. Victor Hovland, Rory McIlroy, Xander Schauffele, Keith Mitchell, Justin Thomas. Then it's John Rahm, Gary Woodland, Keegan Bradley, Eric Van Rooyen, and Scotty Scheffler. Scotty Scheffler is 10th in Thomas's model. Good luck. Let's see. Hi, Rick. To be long enough here, is there a yardage or carry distance based on your bird's eye view or previous data? The very short and nerdy answer is 175 miles an hour of ball speed. That is the cutoff point. If you have 175 miles worth of ball speed, that allows you to get there. If Bryson were plus 500, would he be such a popular industry pick, or is it because he was 1,200 to start the week? I think that one, Clinton, and I also think that you get a lot more money coming in on major championship weeks. You also get guys that are, even if you're betting the PGA Tour every week or just betting it casually, like you have not bet on, you only get 4 chances to bet on Bryson. These people are not betting on Bryson to play on Live. So you get access to Bryson for the first time, and you get him on a golf course that is a really good fit for him. So it just was kind of a perfect storm for that number to come down. But I don't think that he would probably still be that popular. I mean, listen, this is being cast as like a 3-horse race or a 4-horse race or a 5-horse race. But either way, I don't think the price would have been all that. I don't think the action would have been all that different if the price was different. Go Poke says, love your shows. Thank you. I saw in the second cut. Yeah, which by the way, the second cut, if you haven't seen, we brought back the second cut. It was a long story, but the second cut is Mark Immelman and Greg Ducharme. We had Kyle Porter on. We do like round by round recaps. It's a lot of fun. It's very, very good. We're having our best week ever right now. Highly suggest you check it out. I saw that Greg liked Valimaki. Yeah, let's deep dive that. I'm not quite sure that I am there with Greg, but I don't want to speak too soon. Obviously been playing really great golf. Missed the cut at Zurich. I don't care about that. His worst finish was that Byron Nelson T39. Other than that, he's got a bunch of top 20s and good finishes. Let me look at some of his metrics here. He is not very long off the tee. He is mildly accurate. He is pretty bad scorer, honestly. Actually is better from the longer proximities than the shorter proximities, which is probably good here. 3 putts, a touch too much for my liking. I'm like pretty lukewarm on Sammy. I think he does some good things well. If he plays out of the fairway and hits his long irons well, maybe he can finish inside the top 30, but I would not expect a lot more than that. Hey, Rick, I got Bryson back at 24-1 back in December. That's sick. Now, would you consider taking another outright on Rory or Scotty? Yeah, of course I would. If I had a 24-1 Bryson ticket, for sure. Listen, this is the ultimate week cam of like, you got to do what you want to do, right? I've made a card which is very different than most cards that I would make, but it's a very, very unique event. This golf course, I really think there's only a handful of guys that can win. Maybe I'm wrong, but I do believe that analysis. I think the data reflects that. I think the play coming in reflects that. I think it's a very small group of guys. So if you just want to, you're holding a ton of closing line value with a Bryson 24-1 ticket. If you wanted to get 2 of those guys, if you wanted to add Rory and Xander 5-1, 2-1 or something like that, I'm not going to beat you up over that. Hey, Rick, can you rank these guys for me really quick? Sure. Here it is. This is really, really quick. This is going to be oh boy. Vegas, Valimaki, Highsmith, Echeverria, Riley. Rate Chikara, Woodland, Stevens. Chikara, Stevens, Woodland. I don't buy the Woodland stuff. Hey, Rick, just a thumbs up for you updating the tournament predictor page to include odds and values for different books. Thank you. I thought of something like this 2 weeks ago and you did it without me even asking. Sweet. Okay. There wasn't a question there, but I appreciate that. How is the course held up? So kind of discussed it already. Very, very wet, very soggy. It is still raining right now. Actually, it looks like it's coming down a little bit harder than when we started the show, but the greens still have some good bounce to them. I will be out there as soon as I hit end on this show or Armina hits end on this show, I will be on my way over there and I'll get a good feel for it and I'll tweet something out. But yeah, it's very, very wet. Hey, Rick, what do you thanks for the assist last week, JT over Xander. Now for this week, Xander or Bryson? Ooh, I love them both. If you made me choose, probably this is a 4-round matchup. I get odds on Xander, I presume. Xander. If I don't get odds, I guess Bryson. Let's do the Max Homa deep dive here. So Austin's kind of like vomiting in his mouth and clicking Max Homa's name and wants to be told it's okay. I don't know if it's okay. We're still losing 3 to 4 strokes rather routinely on approach. The tee to green play outside of the driver is still a problem. The short game's a problem. Everything's a problem. I mean, listen, it's not as bad, but it was absolutely miserable. Now it's just like pretty miserable. Nick Dunlap's off the tee numbers are the most maroon I've ever seen. Yeah, they're really bad. And I actually saw them on the range yesterday. And I don't want to. This is as dark as red as it goes, by the way. There is no shade darker than this. I don't want to beat up these guys. He's clearly going through like a mental yippy thing. He had his mental coach out there on the range at watching him hit drives, which is, I can assure you, not a good thing. And again, I laugh. I shouldn't laugh. He's obviously working through it, but you want your swing coach there. If you are a hitting driver with a, I don't even think he was using a TrackMan. I think he was using a GC quad. And 1 foot away from there is your mental guy. That is probably not a good sign. I hope he figures it out though. Love the talent, but yeah, the stats are not very good there. I would prefer Norgard over Valimaki McGill. Yes, I would. Does the potential of live clean and play sway picks? So, God, I cannot remember what the PGA of America does here. Are they gonna go to? Are they gonna do preferred lines? I hope not. I really hope not. The Masters would never. I don't know. I mean, yes, if they do that, yes. Accuracy would be a huge thing. My model loves Johnny Kiefer. Well, it's probably because he doesn't have a ton of data. He's a very talented young player, right? He just turned. Did he turn pro? He's from Baylor, right? I guess he did turn pro. So won the Veritex Bank Open, which is the Korn Ferry Tour event, just a couple of weeks ago. Has been playing really well on the Korn Ferry Tour. I think he got his status. I think he got his status via PGA Tour U, right? So he's played one PGA Tour event and a bunch of Korn Ferry Tour events, and he's played unbelievable. I mean, he's crushing the Korn Ferry Tour right now. So very, very talented kid. He played at Baylor, but just note that he doesn't have a lot of data as everybody else. Oh, okay. So see, Justin knows how to game the system here. Justin, asks for exact, hey, can you manipulate this tool on your website so that I don't have to get a membership? Yeah, sure, no problem. So here is what he's looking at. This is the breakout tools chart. So this looks at everybody's putting baseline, looks at how they're hitting the ball right now, looks for guys that can you can still squeeze a lot of juice out of, or guys that are probably in for a little bit of regression. So here is Keith Mitchell. Can you see my cursor there, Justin? He is just on the line here of so he's in the second best quadrant, but getting closer to neutral. That's because the way this reads is Keegan Bradley's hitting it really well, but he's putting below his baseline. The suboptimal would be he's hitting it badly and he's putting over his baseline. It's like, oh my God, this is horrible. So Keith is in the second best quadrant that you can be in. It's just probably means that there's not a lot of improvement coming. Tyler says, I can think of a number of upper echelon players that are currently slumping or who are not in their best form. Is anyone you see breaking out of a slump this week? I think the logical guy to break out of a slump is Sungjae Im, and I don't think he's like an upper echelon superstar or anything of that, but we are so close on Sungjae right now. The driver's been really good. The short game, the putting, awesome. We have got to fix the second shot. I have seen flashes of it recently. A hard golf course where par is going to be good. His last couple major championships have been T7, T5. I think this is a logical breakout candidate, right, for Sungjae Im. I need 2 of these 3 in my season long. The answer is Tom Kim, Harris English, Andrew Novak. I would probably sit Tom Kim. It's a shame, but I probably would. Thoughts on Jake Napa's first round leader? Yeah, sure. Where will you be posted up on Friday? I'll be on the grounds and would love to meet you. So, Sam, what I imagine is the way that I will do this is our set, the CBS set, is on the driving range. So if you look at the driving range on the right-hand side, about 100 yards down on the right, you're going to see like 2 studios. The really beautiful big one with all the lights and all the bells and whistles, that's ESPN. We're the one next to that. No, it has like a window on the back. That's ours. So you'll see me coming and going from there a lot. And then I imagine I will just be walking with the super group. Quite honestly, you don't get a chance to do that all the time. So I will probably be walking on the super group. If you see me, grab me. I can step out of the ropes and chat with you. All that. Ben says, Ben's been a member for 12 months, which is much appreciated. Says, happy PGA. Thanks for everything. Appreciate you. If you had to take 2 of these guys, which ones would you take? Well, there's only 2 listed there, so I guess that's probably not it. How would you rank these 5? I would rank them Fleetwood, Hatton, Mitchell, Fowler, Minwoo. Looking for value sub 7K. Okay, so let's do this. Let's go below 7K here. Burmeister at 6,900 has been playing really well on live and has a good skill set for this place. Andrew Novak, I don't think this is a very good golf course for him, but he's just playing great golf in general. Jake Knapp, we already talked about a lot, and Keith Mitchell, I think those are very valid. If we continue down the board here, Chikara at 5,800 is, in my opinion, a very good play. And then there's also, where's 55? I think he's 55 or 54. Maybe he's 56. There's someone else down here. Oh, 54. Norgard would be the other one there. Sorry, I don't know why I was thinking he was. I was looking right at him the entire time. I'm 80th in a one and done out of 160. Do I have to go to someone else other than Bryson? Probably. You should probably just, if I were you, Brett, like again, it's going to suck when he wins this week, but the optimal thing to do would be to play someone not named Bryson and then play Bryson at the US Open. Play John Rahm this week would probably be the best scenario. Okay. Okay, this is good. I've answered quite a bit of these, which is nice. So how about we talk about, okay, I'll tell you what, Mackenzie Hughes is very cheap this week, and I think he's going to be quite popular. Where is old Mac Hughes? Yeah, so he's going to be pretty much the most popular player in the 5K range. I'm not sure I see that. I'm really not sure I see that. I know that he's been playing great golf. I know that. He's been very, very good. But this is like the worst golf course on planet Earth for him, isn't it? Coming off an emotional playoff loss at Myrtle Beach that he probably should have won. He now goes to the PGA Championship where, by the way, he's missed 5 out of his 6 cuts at PGA Championships, and the one that he made was at Harding Park, where Colin Morikawa won. Definitely don't need distance there. T58. His record at Quail, I think, is similarly bad, isn't it? Finished T6 here last year, and then it was cut, 59th, cut. This is such a bad golf course for him. It's a bad major for him. I know he's playing, but like, I do not get that. I could be wrong. I mean, he might play really well, but I am not on board with the Mac Hughes stuff here. JJ Spawn question. JJ is going to try to do this a little bit differently, right? JJ is going to try to do this with accuracy and hitting a lot of fairways and trying to just approach his way to the, I mean, JJ plays good in a lot of different golf courses, which cannot always be said about guys his skill set. So I like JJ more than some of these other kind of plotters that are down in his price range, but I think it's going to be a tough battle for him. I'm in a 2 and done. Oh wait, hold on. Which 2 of these 4 would you pick? I would pick Berger and I mean, there was a question here from Daniel about Bud Cauley. Bud Cauley's been so good, and I agree that he is popping up on a lot of models. I'd probably go Berger and Cauley. If you wanted to swap Cauley for Harris English, that'd be fine. I think Ben On would probably be the 4th one, though. 2 and done. I picked 4 golfers for majors. Doesn't make sense to take Rory. I haven't used him yet. Likelihood. What? Oh, okay. If you're playing a 2 and done, yes, of course it makes sense to say Rory McIlroy. He's an absolute destroyer of this golf course. Even if he finishes 2nd or 3rd, you're going to get a ton of money, and you might also have picked the winner. I think, James, you are absolutely having to take Rory McIlroy in a 2 and done. My goodness, I would be dying to click his name. Question here about Ricky Fowler from Chunk the Deuce. It says, has he shown enough lately to throw a dart at him? All right, let's look at this. So, pretty good week at cricket, but continues to struggle on the second shot. Has only gained once on approach in the last 5, and it was a tiny gain at Harbor Town. And he actually struggled on the weekend as well. So that's concerning. The driver's actually been quite good. The putter's fine. Short game, not very good. Give me a little bit of Quail action. Let's see what Ricky's done at Quail. It's really good. It's old, but it's really good. T14 2 years ago, T43 last year. A lot of top 5 finishes in his career. A win here. Yeah, it would. I'm like a 6 out of 10. I'm not super excited about this, but it's okay. $7,100. It's okay. The names on this list that I'm, why can't I click that? There we go. That I'm most interested in are Keith Mitchell, Bud Cauley. The list might end there. Spawn is okay. Rye is okay. The rest of the list for those who are just listening are Denny McCarthy, Michael Kim, Kevin Yu, and Lee Hodges. Those ones I'm really struggling with. So again, yeah. So we have shows, like today the CBS shows I'll be at are, I think they're at, I don't know my click is not working. It's like my thing's delayed here. So from noon to 1, I'll be at the driving range doing shows. Then at 3, I'll be back at the driving range. Between that, I'll probably be walking around. I do spend a lot of time on the range with the practice putting green, especially on days like this. But as the tournament days go on, probably walking with a lot of the big groups. If you grab me, I can hop out of the ropes or whatever, and we can chat. Or if you see me coming from the driving range, that would probably be a pretty good spot too. It's just, it's very unlikely that I'm just going to be standing anywhere, right? That's just not how I normally do this. If I am posted up anywhere for an extended period of time, it'll be like by the 14th green. But again, that's probably pretty unlikely. If you just give me a holler, I'll jump out. How much weight do you give Rahm in finishing every top 10? It's fine. It's good. It's better than not, right? I mean, he's still doing better than the vast majority of his peers, and the metrics are really good. And he's driving it like Jon Rahm has driven it the entirety of his career. I mean, the metrics are really good. Yeah, it's definitely a weaker field, but he still has to beat those guys, and a lot of his peers are not doing it this consistently. So I think that's good. How are we feeling about the bedside top to bottom dual lamps? It's too bright. I don't like it. You're talking about these, right? Yeah, it's very nice, very fancy, but I need like that reading light so I can just it's too bright at night. And then it's complete, I wouldn't completely punt putting. I do like bonus putting. I do also like I would do a stat like scrambling is a good stat this week. Scrambling includes putting, right? Because you got to get up, you got to get down. So like a stat like that, I think is important. There was I don't have the numbers in front of me, but there was something like this is like one of the highest rates of missed greens that you have on the PGA Tour. You only hit like 56% of these greens or something like that, which means there's going to be a lot of up and downs for par. So that's the way that I would get putting into this is via scrambling. I like that. 2v2 bet with my friend this week. Bryson and Decky versus Xander and Rahm combined score. I have the latter, but which would you favor? Oh, Xander, Rahm. Yeah. I mean, Rahm's a better play than Decky. Xander and Bryson are quite close. It's probably Bryson, but I think the gap between Rahm and Decky is bigger than the gap between Bryson and Xander. Less interest in Scotty with only playing the President's Cup and not getting much practice this week. Not for me. I don't know if that's the question, but Scotty Scheffler's best player in the world, does not need preparation anywhere. Has it like Ted Scott? It doesn't matter. I do not care about the preparation for Scotty Scheffler. He's going to be just fine. Yeah, I'm actually pretty surprised at how everyone's quick to get to, and I get it, right? I mean, it's quick to get to Bryson, quick to get to Rory, quick to get to Xander, quick to get to JT. Scotty Scheffler is still the best player in the world. Scotty Scheffler is coming off a decimating a PGA Tour field in Texas. Scotty Scheffler's major championship record is obscene. Listen, Scotty's going to be freaking really, really good this week. Don't you worry about that. Bobby Mack versus Keith Mitchell, probably Keith Mitchell. Winning score. What did I say? 10 or 11 under? I would love to do this. The problem is I'm just like booked, right? I would love to play Friday morning somewhere else, but if this was a non-CBS week, if I was just out here myself, I would take you up on this. But I'm going to be on TV, unfortunately. I mean, it is fortunate. I have to enjoy it, but if I appreciate it, if I were here any other week, I would, or without CBS, I would take you up on that. There's a little bit of something in my email newsletter about the shot shapes here. Left to right statistically is better. Now you have guys who can work it both ways. Rory, I mentioned earlier, is really good at working it both ways here. There's so much shot shape stuff that I could get into right now, but the guys who've had the most success are at here are hitting it left to right, not what they normally do. What they hit here are hitting it left to right. Those are the valuable ones. You're going to see it on number one, like right away. For number one, the Bryson and Rory are going to hit these high cuts over all the trees. They're going to be 40 yards farther than everybody else are. You're going to see it immediately. Or no, was that number one? No, it's number one. So you're going to see that. You're going to see that right away. I'm going to toss up between Rory, Xander, and JT for tier one in my splash. Yeah, I mean, I would pick Rory, but I'm not going to kill you for any of these guys. Sepp or Reed? It's close. I like Reed, but Sepp. Is Connors playable? Yes, but he's kind of soft. The deeper plays in one and done. I don't think you have to go too far here, right? So, like Rahm at 6.5%. Love it. That's great. Xander at 8%. I don't know if that's if you have Xander left. I don't think you need to go to 2.4% Bryson, or I'm sorry, Victor. Hideki, I mean, I would just, they're going to be low owned, but I think the play is, especially because of the fact of not only do you get a low owned guy that can win the golf tournament, but you're not tapping into your PGA Tour players. I think if you're trying to go deep, Jon Rahm is the play. Please tell field producer Troy. Oh, okay. I was like, who's Troy Bob? Please tell producer Troy that Bob says hello. Okay. I will. Should see him here shortly. Bob says hello. Okay. Okay, this is good. I've answered a lot of these. This is good. I love the T-shirt. F that short par 4. You can see a lot of holes from there. It's a good spot. I think that's a repeat question. I think that's a repeat question. I'm hearing some JT dissent. Why? Why? I would love to know what the argument is. I saw him out on the range a lot yesterday. The range is, listen, the range is not an indicator of success. But I thought he looked good. Didn't seem to be working through too much. Seemed to get that 2-yard drip fade that he's looking for. A lot of solid. They had him on the top tracer. A lot of solid. The numbers were very good. What is there not to like about Justin Thomas? He's playing too well right now. He's been an elite ball striker again for a year. The putter's been phenomenal, especially relative to his results. Of course, I worry about the driver. Of course, I do. But he's won here. Like, what are we doing? No, Brandon, we can't. Like, maybe he misses the cut and I look like a fool here. But come on, what is there to not like about that? That's just looking for clicks. Did I miss a Brooks deep dive? No, you didn't, because I don't think we've had a single question about Brooks until this point here. So the Brooks stuff is not particularly great. T30 and T17 his last two live starts. Played well in Singapore. That was a couple months ago. Mixed bag on live. His major championship record since his win at Oak Hill is not good. His best finish since then was T17 at the U.S. Open. That was the very next major. So it's just been a lot of finishes outside the top 25 since then. Just a lot of good to okay. Nothing great. Block party. Little behind. Oh, okay, yeah, we did that. 3 favorite in the 5K. I probably have already said these, but just for solidarity, Chikara, Norgard, and who's that pesky third? Kiefer or 3.1 Takumi Kanaya. Radar data. I just have to get it on Rick Rungvid. It's literally every shot, so it's like millions and millions of shots. But you're going to be able to get that on Rick Rungvid soon. I just have to. I'm on my laptop on the road. Otherwise, I would push it to the site. But I imagine that'll be on there very, very soon. Unfortunately, it's not going to be this week. You could. It's not the greatest, but you could. The PGA Tour on their website has Apex, but it's kind of wonky to use, and it only gives you like season-long stats, and it's not great. But I will tell you who some of the highest Apex guys are just quickly. Fowler, Mitchell, Keegan, Ludwig, Rory, Ben Yon, Justin Thomas. That's just JT's 15th. Pendrith is 25th. Xander's 25th. Wyndham Clark's 33rd. Scotty's 47th, but he can go high when he wants to. Finau's 62nd. The low guys are like Lucas Glover, Will Gordon, Daniel Berger, Seamus Power, Smalley, Hoagie, Siwoo. Okay. Will you be at the U.S. Open? I got tickets for Friday to Sunday, and I would like to meet you. I would like to meet you too. I have put in for a credential. I will find out. If I get a credential, sure. If I get a credential, maybe I'll just do Oakmont Travelers, then come back and make a trip out of the whole thing. Would you take Fleetwood and Hughes or Reed and Novak? I would take. Oh God. Fleetwood and Hughes, but I'm not happy about it. Is Rahm live to win? Yes. As far the new ownership algorithm is one, it's updated at a much better cadence, and it is more accurate than the old one. Okay. Thanks for the support, Jim. I think I'm just rolling through I have to get out of here, but I'm just rolling through. I mean, a lot of these questions that are here are ones that have been discussed pretty in depth. I'll end on this. I do think it is kind of interesting. Like a deep dive on Cam Smith. He spent so much time on the driving range yesterday. He was like, I don't think I saw him leave the entire day. Let's see what he's been up to, and then I gotta get on this shuttle. But T5 in Mexico, T7 in Korea, T9 in Miami. Those are his last 3 live results. They're really good. The Masters, he missed the cut. Let's look at his major championship record here. 2 missed cuts in a row. Does he have Quail history? I think he's going to have so much. He's going to play out of the rough on every single hole, isn't he? He's missed the cut twice here, but the last time he played here was 2017. He's playing better on live, but I think this is a pretty bad spot for him. I think it's a pretty bad spot for him. Live guys in play for the rest of the majors. So like in an ideal world, you'd play Bryson or Rahm here in the U.S. Open. If you're front running, you'd play Bryson now and Rahm later. If you want to be different, play Rahm now, Bryson at the U.S. Open. That would be the best case scenario for the live guys. I have to get going here, so I'll remind you one more time. If you want to play golf with John Daly and I, link is in the description. Get in that contest on Splash. If you want to get access to all these tools and models and things that I'm constantly updating, this is all I do. Golf data, links in the description, but it's rickrungood.com. It's my website. I love it. You'll love it too. I'm always making updates to it. But I'm headed over to Quail right now. I am going to see what the golf course is like. I'm going to take my raincoat because it is still raining. And I appreciate you guys. It's been an awesome week. It's going to continue to be an awesome week. The anticipation is through the roof. I wish I could do this for 3 hours, but duty does call. Thank you very much, Armina, and the show.